Week 7 of the NFL season just wrapped up last night, and we are here to recap it all with you guys, HBCU style. We have some first wins for some head coaches. We have 2 first interceptions, and we have, of course, some celebrity sightings. We're going to get into it all on the HBCU NFL Report, brought to you guys by HBCU Game Day. I am Symone Stanley, joined by Lute and Lute. What a week!
What a week indeed. What a week indeed. Very excited early in the week as a rookie, Joshua Williams, got a touchdown, but a whole lot to report coming up on week 7 of the NFL season.
Let's start with our man, Steve Wilks. Steve Wilks, the interim head coach for the Carolina Panthers. He got his first win as a head coach for the Panthers against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I don't think anyone picked the Panthers in that game. The Panthers lost their head coach. They lost running back 1. They lost wide receiver 1 over a span of like 10 days. But Steve came in that thing and came out with a win.
Yeah, can you believe it? He beats Tom Brady and the Buccaneers after losing Christian McCaffrey, after losing Robbie Anderson. You know, who would have thought? They would have thought that, they put Steve Wilks in an untenable position. In other words, getting a win was going to be very hard. But they knocked off the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Tom Brady for the second week in a row. Brady goes down. Something's going on in Tampa Bay with head coach Todd Bowles. Now, we're talking about Steve Wilks, who has HBCU experience in terms of being at both Savannah State as well as Johnson C. Smith. Todd Bowles also has HBCU experience. Todd Bowles was an assistant to Doug Williams, both at Morehouse University as well as Grambling University. He was a defensive coordinator for Doug Williams. So in essence, we had former HBCU alums in terms of the coaching ranks anyway, going against each other. And yeah, Steve Wilks came out with a huge win. I know if you saw the picture of the locker room, they were just ecstatic in terms of getting this win. And he gave a game ball to P.J. Walker, the quarterback, who's now playing quarterback for the Panthers. And then they gave the game ball to Steve Wilks for the big win. So they look like they're loving Steve Wilks. That's certainly a great start for him to get a good win this early since taking over.
Yeah, and Steve Wilks is giving the vibes of somebody who does not play around. I wanted to talk to you about it last week, but you were on your tour of the West Coast, so we couldn't talk. But last week, the Carolina Panthers, it was Robbie Anderson who was their star. Like, Christian McCaffrey is their star, but Christian McCaffrey is never usually available. So the best ability is availability. And Robbie Anderson, he's someone that I've seen a lot in like press conferences, post-game interviews, and he's always so poised, and he always said the right answer, which is really good. So I was surprised when I saw that he had got really worked up on the sidelines in week 6. And Steve Wilks sent him to the locker room. I was like, Steve is not playing down there in Charlotte.
Yeah, that was a shocker to a lot of people because you said Robbie Anderson was a popular guy with the Panthers and had been a productive guy with the Panthers. Had been their leading receiver. Coming out and going back to the Steve Smith days. He's replacing some of the biggest names in Panthers history and had been doing a great job. But yeah, he's out of there. McCaffrey is out of there. Who would have figured? Rule is out of there. Who would have figured that they come up and beat Tampa Bay and the almighty Tom Brady? So that's exactly what they got done.
Well, y'all beat the Bucs, so it must not be that hard.
We just showed everybody else how to do it. That's the deal.
Let me stop for y'all pull off upset next week.
Everybody else is following us after we showed them how to do it.
I take that back because I don't want any bad karma. I don't want no smoke next week against the Steelers.
Yeah, that's right.
But
that's right.
Let's get into our celebrity news. So this week, Kobe Durant. Last year, he would be a player. This year, he's now a celebrity. He came to the South Carolina State versus North Carolina Central game on the sidelines. His team was on bye. He went back down to South Carolina, or over to South Carolina State University, was on the sidelines. He chatted it up with our Stephen J. Gaither, talked about some players on the team that he's looking out for. So it's always great when you see a guy come back, especially come back so soon. First bye week of his first NFL career, and he spent that time coming to what some could say was the biggest game on the schedule this season for South Carolina State.
And not uncommon for HBCU players. If they are able to get to homecoming, they come back to homecoming. I know Tari Cohen has always been at A&T's homecoming here in Greensboro, where I live, if he's able to get off, even if it's the day before a game that they're playing. So, yeah, a year ago, I was at South Carolina State's homecoming when Kobe Durant was still playing, and still starring and eventually leading them to the big upset over Jackson State at the Celebration Bowl. So, yeah, great to see him come back, shed the love, or share the love, spread the love of making it on the next level. Didn't see Shaquille Leonard, who is still, and we may get into that, talk about the fact that he's still not yet back on the Indianapolis Colts roster. He's missed 6 out of the 7 games. And obviously, we're going to talk about that because one of our players of the week has had to step up in his absence. That's Grover Stewart for the Indianapolis Colts. But we'll get into that when we talk about our players of the week.
Since you talk about guys missing on that sideline, Javon Hargrave, also someone who was on bye but was at the game. He probably, locked in, doing reps, going through that playbook, So I ain't mad at it,
He's getting ready for the Steelers. That's what he's doing. His old team.
His old team. He gonna be on a mission. Y'all should have kept him.
Right.
So let's jump into our players of the weeks. So you have 3 defensive players of the week. Last time we talked, you had 2, and I thought I told you to narrow it down to 1. And instead of narrowing it down to 1, instead you added a 3rd, which is fine.
I did. Yes, I did. And the key word this week is splash plays. And I'm a Steelers fan. Mike Tomlin loves to talk about you can gauge whether you won the game based on if your players made some splash plays. And I even in my story on HBCU Game Day, I had a list of splash plays. Someone had put a list on Twitter, but splash plays can be anything from interceptions to kick returns to sacks. Can be a wide range of things. And we had particularly 2 guys this week that had what I call splash plays. One of them you did a story about early, and that was Joshua Williams, the rookie out of Fayetteville State, the first one off the draft boards this year from the HBCU ranks. He had his first interception, a goal line interception in the Chiefs game against the San Francisco 49ers. Picked off Jimmy Garoppolo. Big.
That ain't too hard to do. I just play.
Yeah, and we made a lot of noise earlier when Kobe Durant had an interception, his first interception as a pro.
Right.
Now Joshua Williams gets his first interception as a pro. He also defended a couple of passes. He did give up another touchdown. So this is the 3rd touchdown he's given up in 2 weeks where he's been playing the majority of snaps at left cornerback. But the Chiefs, obviously, and when you're down to a rookie to be playing 60, 70% of your snaps, something's going on. But they are sticking with him.
Yeah.
They lost to Buffalo, but they did beat San Francisco. So he's one of the players. The other splash player of the 3 that we picked on defense is the defensive back out of Arizona, out of South Carolina State, Antonio Hamilton. He's been in the league 7 years, but ironically, he had his first interception of his whole career. He spent most of his time playing special teams, but he had a big pickoff in the end zone on Thursday night when the Arizona Cardinals beat the New Orleans Saints 42-34. It was his first interception of his career. And the backstory to this about Antonio Hamilton, after 6 years in the league of being a backup or special teams player, he had actually earned a starting spot for the Cardinals this season, but then he had a preseason very unfortunate accident where he spilled hot oil on his leg and got second-degree burns on his thigh and on his foot. We reported about it on HBCU Game Day. But this is his 2nd game back, and I guess you call it very fortuitous for him that he got an interception, the first of his career. And he ended up taking the ball. We have a picture on HBCU Game Day of him taking the ball to his wife in the stands. When he got this injury in the preseason, his wife was 7 months pregnant, but he's given credit for her really nursing him back to health and getting him back on the field. He really thought that his career might have been over with these severe burns that he had. But he came back, played well. He not only had an interception in the end zone of Andy Dalton, the New Orleans quarterback, but he also tied for the team lead with 6 tackles. So this is the reason why I had both of them as defensive players in the week. And the 3rd one, real quickly, is Grover Stewart. I mentioned him a little bit, out of Albany State with the Indianapolis Colts. And I had to mention him because he had 12 tackles, 7 solos. The coach lost the game, but he had 12 tackles, and that's usually something we reserve for Shaquille Leonard. I don't think that. I think this is the this highest in his career to have 12 tackles in one game. And with Shaquille Leonard out, as you well know, Symone, he's all over the field. Everybody needs to step up if they're going to keep that defense healthy. And Grover Stewart certainly stepped up this week. So I gave all 3 of them defensive players of the week, despite your trying to get me to select one.
Joshua Williams getting his first career NFL reception in his second start. That's just huge. And he got his first NFL start at cornerback week 6 against the Buffalo Bills. Imagine, Luke, your first start at cornerback is against Josh Allen.
Right.
Like,
exactly.
That's a lot. Yeah. And I know it's Jimmy G, week 7, Jimmy G with the Niners, but that's a very dynamic offense, even with Jimmy G being under center. So shout out to Joshua Williams. That was a big play he made because that was right before halftime. The Niners were up a couple of points over the Chiefs, and that was a huge, huge takeaway, kept them from putting even more points on the board. So it wasn't just that him getting an interception. Like I said in the article on HBCU Game Day, it was a big momentum shift in favor of the Chiefs. So shout out to that Fayetteville State Bronco.
And that's why we called it a splash play. When you at the goal line, they were on like the 10-yard line when they threw the pass. And what we have on game day, if you look at the HBCU NFL report this week, we have him talking about it in the post game where he talks about the fact that he had given up, Stephon Diggs burned him last week. The other kid, Gabe Davis, burned him for Buffalo. And he said, I'm learning from that. I learned from that. You have to learn. And he said all of the defensive backs, the veterans, the safeties are telling him, don't worry about it, kid. You were in good position. You did everything right. Here's what you did wrong. So he said he's learning and he's going along and he's going to get better. So to be playing this early, and we know Jacoby Durant got an interception early, and I don't even think he's played down since then. He's
right. What's up with that, Luke?
Well, we never know what's happening internally. But the same thing, Marquise Bell, he hadn't gotten on the field. Deshaun Dixon has gotten Deshaun Dixon, who made the 53-man roster undrafted, has probably played more than Bell or Jacoby Durant has. So, there's always stuff going on with injuries that we may not know about.
Yeah.
And you would think that after he got that interception, that Jacoby Durant would get more playing time, but he actually has not even been active for a game since then. So we'll have to see. That was in week 2 or 3 of the season.
That was week 2.
In week 2. He hadn't been back on the field since then. I don't know. And you said you saw him. He didn't say anything about being hurt. That would have been a good question to talk to him about, are you concerned about not getting in the games, as he was early?
Yeah, Steve could have tapped in with us before he shot that video, and we could have, gave him some questions, some really good ones,
Exactly. Yeah, but, he's on the NFL roster. Nothing to complain about.
Right.
So the checks are clearing, so I'm sure he's going to bide his time. And all of these young guys that we've talked about during the preseason, they're going to get their shot. They just have to wait their turn.
Right. So when we go to the offensive player of the week, was it tough for you picking him because he was playing your team?
Yeah, he was, but not really tough. He's one of the best offensive linemen in the league. And even in the broadcast, when the Steelers played, they played on Sunday night. They played against Miami. They talked about they were running the zone read to the left the entire game. They rushed for like 111 yards. And every time they showed Teron Armstead, he's a big guy. It's hard to get around, which is, the key to being a good offensive lineman in the league. So it wasn't hard at all. I give him his props, whether he's playing against the Steelers or not. But certainly I would, the Steelers play well. Just to give a statement about the Steelers, you talk about how scrappy they are. They're in the game. That's what I love about Mike Tomlin, that we're always going to be competitive. If you throw out that 38-3 loss to Buffalo, we're going to always be competitive, have a chance to win, as we did coming down the stretch. But Teron Armstead was certainly a difference maker for them in terms of the way he protected and the way he opened running lanes for them.
And our special teams player of the week, a surprising 6-1 team. Behind the leg, the foot, the hammies of this guy,
Yeah, Jamie Gillan has been really outstanding punter for them. He's really done the job. He did it for 4 or 5 years in Cleveland, and now he's moved over to the Giants, and he's caught lightning in a bottle. Because who would have thought that the Giants, as well as the Jets, the New York folks, are doing well? Even the Knicks have started well. Something in the water in New York, maybe. I don't know. But
Not for Brooklyn. Look, Brooklyn ain't catch on.
yeah, but Brooklyn might be struggling a while. They got two superstars, but I'm not sure they got the supporting cast in the basketball realm. But no, the Giants are doing well, the Jets are doing well, and Jamie Gillan is certainly doing his job as a dynamite punter for the New York Giants. He's been our special teams player of the week, I think, all 7 weeks, because just there are a lot of other guys playing special teams, but they don't get a chance as much as he does to really shine. So Jamie Gillan, 7 weeks in a row, special teams player of the week.
I love it. Well, Lou, that's a wrap on week 7. We're moving on to week 8. The biggest storyline here might be, I hope not, because if it's a storyline, that means it's an upset or something good that happened for my team in Philly. But we roll into week 8, Steelers versus Eagles. If you want to spin the HBC storyline, Javon Hargrave, former South Carolina State University Bulldog, going up against his former team in the Pittsburgh Steelers. I hope Javon comes out on top.
Where's the game? Where's the game, Symone? Is it in Philly or Pittsburgh?
It's in Philly.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah, that'll be something to talk about regardless. Look forward to it next week.
We'll see. I hope it's nothing to talk about because, like I said, the only way for there to be something to talk about is if we lose. If we do what we're supposed to do, there'll be nothing to talk about, Lou. So hopefully there's nothing to talk about.
Fear the black and yellow, girl. Fear the black and yellow.
I fear the black and yellow. I don't fear Kenny Pickett.
Okay.
You know,
okay. We'll talk. I'll see you next week. We'll talk then.
We'll talk. But y'all, this is the HBCU NFL Reports. I am Symone. He is Lute. This is HBCU Game Day. Thank you guys so much for joining us.